All right. Good afternoon, East Hampton ARB. We're live on channel 22. We're streaming to YouTube. The phone lines are not open for this meeting, and you may begin.
Thank you, Matt. Welcome to the May 8th, 2025 meeting of the Architects Review Board of the Town of East Hampton. We have 13 applications before us this afternoon. As a courtesy due to another meeting conflict, one of our applicants has at 4:30. We will take the third item on the agenda first, and then we'll resume the normal order of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which was on April 24th?
So moved.
Chris, second.
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
Nice, so passed. First item of business is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-80-1-6.4. This is 763 Springs Fireplace Road in East Hampton. Chris, this is yours.
Is there somebody here from?
Yeah, Lori's here.
Lori's here?
So,
No, the architect is going to be on by Zoom.
Ask if there's any. Matt, is there anybody waiting?
Yeah, we have 3 people in.
Okay, they're for this first application.
Okay.
it's for the Mallow residents.
Did you?
Hmm?
Okay. So this is an application on a property, part of which lies within the Springs Historic District, where the ARB has already, and where that previously approved work is now underway. The property fronts Springs Fireplace Road, just around the corner from the triangle that forms the center of the historic district, with Astorwalk Hall, the library, the blacksmith shop, etc. The new work proposed is to demolish several old sheds and barns and to build a new set of structures connected into an L, comprised of a barn and studio, which is 662 square feet, 13 foot 8 high, a new screen porch, 192 square feet and 12 foot 7 high, and a new pool house, 200 square feet, 12 foot 7 high, and a breezeway with outdoor shower, 84 square feet and 10.5 feet high. The new structures appear to be handsome, straightforward accessory structures in keeping with the main house and located appropriately for such structures in the historic district, as the guidelines would suggest, behind the main house and largely, if not entirely, visible from the street. Exterior wall sconces are presented in the application. They're indicated with cut sheets, and the details show a 2700K light color temperature and dark sky compliant. There's simple design, the kind of patinaed metal finish. The survey also indicates a new proposed swimming pool way out in the back of the property, which you can barely see in one of the photos where they've roped off the location. But it's presumably to replace the existing pool, which is there with its sinuous white stucco enclosure wall, and really cool metal gates. Let's see. So that new pool is also in accordance with guidelines from the zoning code on the historic district for placing the pool in the rear of the property behind the main house. There's no information about a pool enclosure or gates for the new pool, and it would be helpful for the applicant or the applicant's agent to clarify the intent for the existing pool and the stucco pool enclosure wall and the iron gates, and how that's going to relate to that, because it's not listed as part of the application. Only the L-shaped accessory structures were part of this application, but the survey does show that pool, and how it relates to the existing pool adjacent to it would be just helpful for us to understand. Is there?
Yeah, my name is Brian Jones. I'm one of the owners of the residence. I'll let Anthony, the architect, speak a little bit more towards the structure. But with regards to the new proposed pool, the fencing is planned to be, a code compliant height and surrounding, but it's meant to be like a very simple metal mesh fence, much like a deer fence, but at whatever the 36 or 42-inch high compliant, and it's meant to be planted out on both sides by tall meadow grasses to disappear, but still comply with code. So you really just don't see that within the back meadow to match kind of its existing landscape. Sorry, go ahead.
Can you go back to the existing photo, the existing pool? So what's happening with that existing pool then?
So the existing pool is to be demolished, and that's an expansion tank where you see those Bilco doors, which is not in use any longer. That was used for when there were horses on the property, back when it was a 12-acre lot, before it was subparceled in the 80s. That will also be taken out of commission and demolished. The enclosure, the concrete wall, will remain, as will the gates, and in time, once the finances from the main house and this accessory structure have settled a little bit, the plan for here is a vegetable garden and a flower garden.
Oh, great. That clarifies. Also, there was one other question that I had about the buildings. The specifications on the elevations indicated tongue groove vertical boarding siding, but they don't talk about finish or color. That's something you could elaborate on. It's a cedar shingle roof.
It would be
those large panels are screen porch panels. They're not sliders or glass.
The intent here is to keep it natural cedar, same yellow cedar as the shingles on the house, same material, and just to let it weather gray, and then any trim would be painted the same white as the main house.
Great. Anybody have any questions or comments?
Seems nice.
I think it's a lovely project. Yes.
It's very appropriate, very understated, very nice.
No comments. I was just a question about just driving by this morning. The main house is yellow, correct?
The main house is yellow cedar shingles, correct?
Oh, they're Alaskan yellow. Okay.
Alaskan yellow cedar.
That's why I wondered why the house turned yellow. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Believe me, we were hoping they'd go up sooner so that they'd gray by the time summer came around. But maybe by August there'll be a nicer shade.
Okay, great.
No, I think it's amazing.
I think we're all good, Chris.
Great. Well, I would like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Second.
So passed
Great.
unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Construction looks great on the main house too, by the way.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. We're excited. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
I'm going to flip back to business signs. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-3-16. This is 45 South Euclid Avenue in Montauk. Clara, this is yours.
Thank you, Chip. So this application is for the installation of the new double-sided street sign. This property is located directly across the Montauk Hampton Jitney stop behind the Dime Bank. The proposed sign will read Omayo Studios in white and gray lettering on the orange background. It will measure 24 inches by 16 inches and will be mounted on the 6-foot-tall white wooden post. The sign will be positioned in front of the property to the left of the brick walkway. You can see right there on the picture when facing the building from the street. Perfect. This is the proposed sign. I don't know if you have anybody here to speak on behalf of this application. Okay,
What are the two lower signs below it?
So this is
Okay,
your
good.
color coded, please.
And please identify yourself for the record.
Hi, I'm Molly Eldred. David's not here. He's on a flight to Georgia. The two lower guest signs, this is a temporary establishment, just seasonal. The post itself and the sign itself is intended to be removed at the end of season. Those are for interchanging if it says open now or if there's a guest brand or whatnot in. So those are not permanent. It's optional.
But the orange sign is permanent.
The orange sign will be up from Memorial to Labor Day.
Oh, I see.
We have the sign, it's metal sign, the post is already on property as well. We went with white, we thought it would blend nicely with the building, the neighborhood, and the white brushed metal hooks. But if you guys have suggestions for different fixture colors or for the wood post itself, we're flexible.
It's very understated, yeah.
Great.
It's really a nice sign.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody has any
Comments?
comments.
Anyone? Frank?
No.
Diane?
Straightforward.
I think we're good then.
Okay. So I would like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm going to go back to historic districts. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-1-5. This is 100 Wainscott Hollow Road in Wainscott, and this is mine. This is an application to convert a summer kitchen shed into a full-time living space on an 18th century house on 4.9 acres on the hill across from the Wainscott School. And that's the existing structure that we're talking about. The current structure would be taken down and rebuilt in kind, matching existing materials. 2 new windows will be added to the adjacent kitchen, which is part of the main house, for better flow in the kitchen. And a new brick fireplace on the western elevation will be added, flanked by 2 new windows. And the applicant will remove 2 small windows on the southern facade. That's the southern facade right there. All new windows and doors will be wood 6/6 and will be red cedar shingles on the house. And the exterior siding will actually be a vertical red cedar tightly fitted, so it looks like almost planking. And it will match exactly what's there now. This applicant recently completed a very small addition at the other end of this house. It's been in this family for multiple generations. That addition was meticulously executed to the highest historic preservation standards. Both of these modest changes, the ones that we looked at a year or 2 ago, and this proposed change will help bring the interiors of this house into the 21st century. Greg, John, would you like to say anything that I missed? Come up to the podium, please.
I mean, it's a real, sort of straightforward project. We're using the same footprint. That's kind of key. And we're trying not to impact the elevations or impact them as little as possible. The north elevation is almost identical. We are adding 2 windows on each side of the fireplace on the west elevation and taking out 2 windows on the south elevation because we need that interior space to salvage and put an antique hutch there that's already existing in the house. We don't want to get rid of that. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward.
Questions by the board?
No question.
I think that this is a great way to capture that really captures the spirit of Wainscott Hollow Road and the whole area.
Yeah.
Wood
Yeah.
that
It's a refreshing application. Okay, and I'd like to make a motion to approve this project as presented. May I have a second?
Oh, second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? Okay, so passed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Still in the Historic District, this is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-32-6-4.1. This is 136 Benson Drive in Montauk, and this is also mine. So this project has been before us multiple times, as in front of us today, to a technicality. The applicant decided not to build 2 items approved in our original resolution, a trellis and a pergola on the rear of the house. The dormers on the front of the house on the roof on the 3rd floor were approved to be cedar shingles, and in the construction, the applicant decided to use the 1x8 cedar clapboard instead on the side of these dormers, so it matches the siding of the house. The reason this is in the historic district is that it was originally the Coast Guard station in Montauk, over closer to the trailer park on the ocean. It was moved to this site decades ago, and it's been substantially reimagined as a house and doesn't look anything like it did when it was a Coast Guard station. It now sits on a cul-de-sac in a residential suburban neighborhood. I think the renovation was tastefully done. I see no reason not to approve this application, the modification to this application, as well as their request for a C of O. Any discussion by the board?
That looks great.
I have no objection.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve this modification as presented. May I have a second?
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimously passed. Do you want to do this? Okay, sure. So this is Suffolk County Tax Mapper 300-32-6-4.1, 136 Benson Drive in Montauk. This is an application to approve, to move towards a C of O on this structure. We've talked about the structure. I see no reason to talk about it anymore. Any comments by the board?
No.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve this application for a request for a certificate of occupancy and instruct staff to notify the building department that is ready for a C of O. I have a second?
Second.
Diane, all in favor?
Aye.
Frank?
Aye.
Aye, so unanimously passed.
Moving right along.
We are moving on. Moving to change to commercial, this is Soul Cycle, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-49-3-1.2. This is 15 South Edgemere Street in Montauk. Clara, this is yours.
Thank you. So this application is for the Montauk Soul Cycle studio location, which is located in the former old movie theater in Montauk. It's directly across the street from the field, the baseball field, and where the Montauk Brewery is. So the applicant is proposing to paint the wall murals on north and south side of the building. So the first proposed sign, so this picture was taken yesterday as you coming from downtown Montauk and heading towards to the train station. Well, if you can please go to the mock-up PDF. So this is the opposite side, the back of the parking lot. Okay, so the first proposed mural will be located on the north rear side of the building, which is visible from the park or when approaching in downtown Main Street, Montauk. The exterior wall will be painted light gray with a thin yellow stripe along the bottom. The left side of the mural will feature the white Soul Cycle logo, and the right side will display Montauk in the white letters, as you can see on the picture. On the opposite side of the building, the painting will be, or the wall painting will be perfect. This one will have a lower portion of this wall will be painted white, while the upper portion will be painted yellow, once again with the white Soul Cycle logo position in the top right corner. I would like to mention that it wasn't part of the official application, but the attached plans show that the applicant is also planning to repaint the building white, as well as replace all of the existing floodlights with the white glare buster fixtures and add some of the additional lights near the entry door. Hi.
Hi, yes, my name is Josh Dixon, representing Soul Cycle.
Thank you. Is there anything you would like to add to the?
No, we're entering into our 10 years at this location. This is one of 3 locations we operate in the area. And with us coming in 10 years, we're really looking at some opportunities to brighten up our space, to make sure that it represents the brand, but also make sure it represents the community. Thus, us wanting to continue to represent Montauk and be a good representation of the overall community. So that's our intention with both the north and south mural. With the south mural specifically, there has been some hedges on the south side that have continued to grow, that have continued to more block the overall space. So we're hoping to have this rather understated yellow of our brand showcase so that we can continue to showcase what our brand represents with our logo throughout the center. So that's just the overall intention with the south side. And with the north side, as you mentioned, coming from the train and entering into the city, we, again, just continue to represent Montauk. And we decided to go with the lighter gray, which is one of our brand aesthetics, as we didn't want to be just overcoming with the yellow with the larger section of this wall.
Okay, thank you. Do I have any comments from the board?
So is the disc NMNTK your logo?
So that is actually the spin wheels of a cycle of a wheel. So we call it the wheel. But yes, it's one of our main logos. And the MNTK are call letters. So we have 4 letters that represent all of our locations. So the MNTK is Montauk for this specific location. That is a apparel branded item that we sell that represents. It's also an abbreviation for the internally from a corporate standpoint as well.
Mhm.
I think that,
Well,
come on, you go.
I mean, I graphically like it very much, but it reads as an awfully big sign. And I mean, we have very specific restrictions on the size of signs, and I have a feeling that this would not fit into those restrictions.
I'm just thinking if this was Restoration Hardware and they put a giant RH on the side of the building, we would call that a sign. I don't have such a problem. What?
It's close to a sign for sure.
I don't have such a problem with the wheel, but when you put the two together and we looked at a T-shirt you're selling, it kind of is it's a sign. So signs, you're limited to 32 square feet. So Frank, Chris?
I have the same sentiment about it. I mean, the only thing, but 2 things. One is the only thing I've seen of that scale in the town of East Hampton that's been approved is basically an art mural on a commercial project where the board considers it a piece of temporary art, not an advertisement of the business. And I think the big thing, even if we were to consider this as a sign as current, I think this board needs to consider the precedent it sets for, okay, if this were to be approved, then all of a sudden every side of a building becomes a potential signage. So,
Yeah, we don't want to create a mural loophole. I mean, it's pretty clear the definition of sign in the zoning code is that portion of any building or structure or any billboard, signboard, sandwich board, or other temporary or permanent object, shape, device, image, or merchandise display used as advertisement, announcement, or direction, and all text, symbols, shapes, lights, marks, letters, or figures affixed thereto, painted thereon, or incorporated therein. It sounds pretty cut and dry, like that's going to be interpreted as a sign. And at the very least, I don't think as a board, we're in a position where we can approve something that might have a conflict with the code. So at the very least, we're going to have to look into that, or that's a point of discussion for town officials beyond the board. Because I mean, those are two elements. I mean, graphically, I love it.
Yeah, me too.
I love the colors. If you came back with, I don't want to suggest design revisions because that's not our job, but I mean, the color palette is great. The use of the building to, it's a white box. It's an old movie theater that we all know and love, but you painting it with great colors is a great gesture, and it is part of the outreach of the community that I think would be very successful for you. I just feel like we have to be careful with overlapping with a sign.
Yeah.
I think where it splits is that when does it stop being architecture? When does it become an advertisement? Right. And I think seems like this is crossing the line from going from painting a building as architecture to an advertisement. So I don't think that we can approve this from a legal perspective.
We love the colors, but I think we're troubled by the 2 logos, actually, the M. So I think we're probably inclined to say no, right?
I do believe there is an alternative that is at the back of the proposal for this particular piece, because we did have these concerns. There is one other alternative design that was incorporated with also some of the other designs that are represented throughout the city, and the end logo throughout that does not have our actual logo in and is more representative of the end. And that it should be at the back of it. Is it not included?
Don't think it. Yeah, I don't think it's in this application.
I apologize. We will definitely take this all into consideration for this back, as we did have an alternative proposal. So we will look forward to taking these comments back and hopefully working with a different design and seeing what your comments are. And just to double check confirmation, is this for both the north and south propositions?
I think the logo, I think you're running into an issue with the image, the symbol of the logo.
Okay.
Even though it's very subtle there, it's, you know,
The logo.
The verbiage in the code is kind of where we have to stick to.
Yeah.
I mean, how do we have any idea what the measurements are on of that logo, of the yellow logo?
Yes, sorry, I don't have them off the top of my head, but it's the outcrop section.
Yeah, but just the actual symbol, but there's also a Soul Cycle
Yeah,
sign.
so yeah, that Soul Cycle sign could be close to 32 square feet of its 4
Yeah, it's definitely, that outcrop section is definitely close to 32 square feet. I mean, it's probably 8 by 6, so that would.
So I think you're close to your sign limits. Okay, well, we welcome you to come back and
Yeah.
appreciate you taking our
Yeah,
comments.
I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thanks.
They're changing them.
Is it part of the application?
It's on the plans, but it's not in the
Oh,
application
sir,
itself.
when you do come back and you want to talk about lights, we just need the tear sheets for what those lights are.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay. Still under change to commercial, this is Phoenix House, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-191-2-1. This is 95 Industrial Road in Waynescott. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. This is an application to repair and renovate the siding at Phoenix House, a residential substance abuse facility on town-owned land in Waynescott. The property sits far down on Industrial Road in Waynescott. Its location is somewhat at the end of the long street, and there's basically no outlet at the western end of where this resides. So it's unlikely to be seen by anyone except for those coming to this facility, or maybe the storage facility across the street and a little bit up. The building has seen some significant wear on the siding, and a renovation is in order. The applicant is proposing changing the siding from naturally weathered cedar to white trim, which would be a hardy board, cement board siding. I believe the window schedule indicates that the windows and doors will also be replaced. I don't know about the roof, so it's something I'd like to ask the applicant. Trim boards, fascia boards, and rake boards will be replaced with hardy trim. The railing system, guardrails, top rail, vertical post, and columns will remain. Elevations were provided, but I can't tell if they are existing elevations or proposed. Architecturally, the biggest change is seen from the renderings. We can just go through the renderings now. So architecturally, the biggest change is seen from the renderings is to make the siding and trim all white. I don't find the proposed white exterior objectionable, but if I had my preference, I would suggest that the applicant visit the housing complex on 3 Mile Harbor Road, which was recently completed. That project has gray hardy board shingles with white trim, and that project has turned out very well. So is there a representative? Okay.
Jack Naylor, LKB Consulting Engineers. This project was started 5 years ago. Plans were prepared. Funding wasn't there. When funding came along, fortunately, which is tough to come by as a nonprofit, it was resurrected. And if you could, I get photo 7D on the screen? It's in the photo package that just preceded, yeah, it'll be further back. I guess it was on the submittal. If it's not in what's here today, I could provide the board with a copy. This is the current condition.
No, we saw that, yeah.
Yeah, we saw that.
We saw it, yeah. It looks like it's full of mildew.
It took some damage in the recent storms. I'm
Yeah.
sure there was a lot of that out here. So obviously, we're looking to protect the building from structural damage and get this done. The road, as was mentioned somewhat, it's not seen by a lot of people. Most of the buildings on that property are metal buildings. It's between the railroad tracks and the airport. They're all industrial type, concrete foundation, metal structures. And it does stand out as an exception to what is on the street itself. Other than that, I don't know that I can add anything. It pretty much covers it all.
If you can just explain what is in the scope of the proposed work and what is not. There were elevations provided of, I don't know, Will, if you want to bring those up, but the elevations.
The elevations of, as you can see, both in the photographs, there's nothing changing in the shape, location of windows. It's
Right, but it would have helped to clarify, like, new siding, new windows to replace existing, to replace in kind. I mean, so I'd like to just go down the list and find out what are you proposing to change, what is staying. So the roof, is that getting replaced? Okay, the siding we talked about, that would be yes. The trim boards, fascia. What about the windows and doors?
windows and doors, there's a door schedule and a window schedule in the submittal package. It lists all the doors, all the sizes,
Okay.
and they are matching the existing doors and windows.
So replace in kind, architectural in elevation.
The railings were labeled as existing on these. I'm sorry? Those remain. They're in good shape? Oh, good.
Okay, and so the railings are not in the scope. Guardrail and the top rail. So if you can just maybe point out, so guardrails, like there on the first floor, there's guardrails there. Maybe just go to the renderings and just explain to the board what, and I assume at some point you're gonna redo those, right?
Everything, that has suffered damage is on the list to be fixed. And,
Okay.
If 27 out of 28 items that are being replaced, obviously we'd replace the 28th,
Right.
just to have the consistency. But again, the purpose of the project is to remediate the storm damage.
Yeah, I get that.
It's a big white building.
It's,
Oh,
They're largely.
it wouldn't be my first choice in terms of color palette because it's like, it's just becomes this huge white building. And actually I find that the existing palette of the building, if you go back to the photographs, I mean, we can't ask you to replace it in kind with cedar. But it sort of breaks up the volume of the building by having a contrast of materials as opposed to a field of white. But I do understand that, it's in our interest to support this facility and what you're doing. And obviously we want it to be kept, the building integrity kept together. So, how does the board feel about
there is a similar construction project that the town just finished building, a housing unit that they use gray hardy board with white trim. Would you consider that?
I don't make that.
But would you consider it? Yes. I think it would break it up, and if you want to go see what it looks like, it's up on 3 Mile Harbor, right by the harbor itself, but it would tone it down a bit. It wouldn't look like such a white elephant.
Yeah, it would kind of, again, I realize it's the end of the industrial road, not going to get a lot of residents, not get a lot of visitors aside from visitors to the facility and residents, but employees, but it would blend in more with the landscape. And I think you might find it's not going to cost, it's going to be the same cost as, right. So,
other comments, Clara?
I would agree with Frank on the color. I think the white is It's white railings, white trim, white fascia boards. I think it's a little too much of the white.
After discussion, extensive discussion with Jamie, we'd be happy to comply with your desired color scheme.
Okay, we just asked that you to come back. I don't even think you need to come back and pay someone to re-render I don't think that
We can just do the resolution with the color. We can pick it up with the town's application, right? The Hardy Board color. If you want to see it, drive up there and look at it. It's a really soft
if
color.
we can pull, I don't know, do you want to see the photo of the 3 Mile Harbor complex, whatever?
Frank, was the 3 Mile Harbor complex pre-finished Hardy blank?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a sample kit in the car.
Oh, so you know it.
But there's a,
Okay, so you know it. Okay.
We know what it looks like.
let me just here.
Okay, I think everybody's on the same.
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, one of the nicest applicants we've had. So I think we're kind of good for it if you're okay with it. We'll just specify the color and the,
Yeah, I have no aesthetic ability to judge anything. I'm an engineer, so I depend on people who have the talent for that.
okay.
Thank you.
Chris, anyone?
Thank you.
That's great.
Okay, so make a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented, with the stipulation that the horizontal siding be the Hardy board color to match the specification, the color of the Hardy board at the 3 Mile housing complex that this board has approved.
In fact,
Which
if
we
it
will.
helps the board, there are several shades of gray. I have that sample pack. I could drop that off at Julie's desk and you could pick which one you like.
Well, we have the color on the bold resolution, and I'll write it on this resolution, the specific color. So
Oh,
there's-
here we go.
I would imagine it's pearl gray or light mist.
Yeah.
That's not, well, that's Arctic white, so I'm wondering what the color was at 3 Mile housing.
Well, we'll figure it out. It's
I'll
fine.
write it in the resolution.
Yeah.
And when we go to do an inspection, you have to do.
821.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Okay,
Sounds
so
great.
Frank finished this. You didn't say anything about the trim or the finish.
Oh, okay, so, with the scope of work, well, it is laid out in the application, but the scope of work being to replace the siding, the trim, fascias and rake boards, windows and doors to be replaced in kind. And I think that's all we need. No, those are to remain white.
May I have second?
Second.
Clara, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimously passed. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Moving to fences, walls, gates, and berms. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-118-1-13.4. This is 29 Hunting Road in East Hampton. Diane, this is yours.
Yes. This application before us is for a 5-acre property on 29 Hunting Road, which is a private road off of Springy Banks Road. And they are proposing an 8-foot deer fence, an agricultural deer fence, to enclose the entire property, which is out of the question, basically. What's on the property is very interesting in that there is a more than an acre lavender field, which is a very charming idea. And is that my picture or your picture? They're so dark.
Yeah.
Anyway, the property is they've carved it's a very long flag lot, over 800 feet of a newly carved road, which my car couldn't navigate, actually. But you can see the lavender field here, and you took better pictures of it.
Mhm.
It's absolutely a beautiful idea, but our code would not allow this. The area enclosed by fence is less than 50% of the parcel, and the fence will be installed along only 2 property lines. This is being proposed to completely enclose the property, and is more than 20 feet away from running along the remaining property lines. So who is here for this applicant?
Come on up and identify yourself.
Hi,
Hi.
Your name, ma'am?
my name is Rita Meyerson, and I'm one of the owners. I own it with my husband, Fred Glass.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
So what we'd like to do is actually just enclose the envelope, which is a little less than 4 acres. Yeah, we also own that private road. So the idea here is to continue with the agricultural theme that we have going on with the lavender, and we were thinking of putting some fruit trees and just expand on that. And, you know, we just need the enclosure for deer protection.
Yeah, well,
so
I
so
think,
that's the envelope that we're looking at.
okay. I think if you were to, we can forward you the section of the zoning code for your information that regards the rules and requirements for fences. There's some fences that you don't even need to talk to us about, that you could do as of right. But what you're proposing is not something that we're actually able to approve, because we're not allowed to approve something that's not per the code. So what you've proposed, enclosing the entire property and more than 2 property lines, it's not something that's allowed by the codes. Therefore, we can't say, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, it's beyond our scope. I mean, and what you've created is very beautiful. The lavender field and the retaining walls are beautiful. But, and I think that your intentions have been very specific and lovely, but.
Yeah,
So
there are
suggesting that I do.
It's a complicated code. I mean, if you take your time to read through the provisions and the options that you have, I think you'll find that.
Is it the height that's a problem?
There are questions of
Everything
height.
is a problem.
Okay.
There are questions of height. I mean, you're far from the street, and
Right.
therefore, I don't know what the front property line is and what the setbacks are from front property line. But if your front property line is the end of the flagpole, then you know you're good to go with 6-foot fencing, for example. I believe,
Mhm.
you know, but the 8-foot fence is definitely has very specific limitations in the code as to where you can put it and where you can't. And how much of it you can have, and how far back from some property lines it has to be as a minimum. So there's some study there. We're not in the business of designing things for you, but it's even though it's complicated, I think it's understandable, and you could look through it, and you'd
Okay.
probably.
Where can I find the?
We'll send it to you.
We'll send it to you.
We'll send it to
I
you.
apologize. Can we back? So this is 2 properties?
One.
No, One
No, it's
property.
It's one flag lot.
It's 1 flag lot, and the applicant is asking for approval of an 8-foot fence.
On the whole thing.
On the
Whole
entire
thing.
property.
Right.
And
Can't
I'm
fence
sorry,
the
but-
whole you
I
can't
mean,
fence
no
the
one can
property.
see it. I mean, it's not a question of, this is about the code. I mean, obviously, this is a
Okay.
very special property. And, I mean, there's no,
But
there
what
certainly
about,
isn't any view to the property, so it isn't a question of that. It's just that the code is very specific, and it's, what you're asking for is completely out of the question.
Really?
I'm
Okay,
not, so let me just
Mhm.
ask, so is this legally fencing in the entire property? Because there's the bottom right here, which is
Well, I wanted to say, so that woodland strip that, where the road
Proposed
curves
fence.
around, which is the
Right.
bottom of the map, I
Right.
don't think you need to fence that in. So if you move the fence inside that woodland, that would help you get, closer to the number you need for a higher fence. But would just think about fencing the parts that are critical to you, not the whole property.
Well, let me just ask though, is this, because just to clarify, is the proposal here in fact to fence in the entire property?
Yes.
Because even though it's not on the property line there, right there, and it doesn't go into the
No, it is.
driveway.
No, it is. That's the clearing line, but the fence hugs the property line.
So if I move the fence in on the interior,
Yeah, particularly if you get it outside. those
I'm
woods.
looking at I'm looking at a green line of the proposed fence.
right,
So,
Where's the fence down there?
so is the proposed fence here, are you proposing one fence or two?
one
So
with a
if there's
gate.
an existing fence shown on the survey,
Where
that's to
is
be
that?
removed.
Oh, yeah, that's been there. We don't,
So you're going to remove it.
yeah, that could be moved, whatever is suitable for,
Okay. Because I just want to be clear to the applicant that if we say that this is fencing in the entire lot based on the green lot, is that legally fencing in the entire lot? It's substantially most of it.
I think that, your surveyor looks like it's Wallbridge.
yeah,
And so they would be able to do the square footage calculations of helping you to get to 50%, which is the maximum that you're
allowed to do an
allowed
8
by
foot.
code.
So then the remainder, I could do a 6 foot, is that the, right,
I believe so. I believe so.
So you own
The
property on
agriculture
the other
portion.
side of the driveway, right, where the driveway the road comes up, and then you own property on the other side where it's.
yes, a portion of the.
Yeah, I
exactly.
see that,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, yeah. And then there's lots of woods above the driveway, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought I was in Colorado when I was there.
Amanda,
It's a very unique property.
Yeah.
instead of spending the money for like a new survey, you could do it like a sketch of it on the existing and bring it into the planning department just to make sure that
Okay.
that would be code
So who
compliant.
could help me plan out?
Julie can help you,
Okay,
okay?
okay,
And she sits right next to the planning department.
okay,
Okay.
okay, very good.
And
Thank you
we'll
so much.
send you this requirement so you can
Yeah,
parse
that'd
through
be
them and
helpful.
see that's, they're discussions of fence type for this, for a tall fence, like a deer fence,
Okay,
what's allowed, things like that.
very good.
But your intentions with the lavender field are beautiful.
Yeah,
Really
we
beautiful.
planted more because we had some water issues, so we're continuing to plant.
Hmm.
And we're going to keep going. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you, Rita.
thank you.
Moving on to agricultural overlays. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-1-18.28. This is 8 Fieldview Lane in East Hampton. Chris, this is yours.
Okay, this is a proposed addition to an existing house. There's the view from the street of the house. You can see the garage. There's the gable there. There's a breezeway, and the main house is on the left. It's a residential property adjacent to an ag overlay district, thereby coming under this board's review. Fieldview connects Cedar Street with Roberts Lane, which shortly thereafter connects to Long Lane, just north of the high school, to situate this. And the properties on the street generally front more onto their residential frontage than addressing the adjacent agricultural lands. In this case, the rear of the property, which you can see in one of these photos, is heavily planted with no view at all of the tree farm beyond, but you can see its proximity and adjacency in the aerial view. The proposed addition would add 698 square feet to the rear of the house. That's a view into the rear yard from the parking area. There's the rear yard looking toward the tree farm beyond, which you can see the heavy planting. There's a swimming pool back there. Beautiful lot. And this is a view looking to the house to right where that breezeway connects to the garage, is where there'd be a flat roofed connector to another gable roof structure that is the bulk of the addition. The flat roof connector just helps to give you that, to negotiate those two different eaves heights back in there, and allows that connection to be made a little bit more securely for waterproofing. So 698 square feet. well under the allowable coverages of building coverage or lot coverage. The total part of the top part of the gable would be visible over from the front of the house over top of the breezeway roof. But the house itself, as you can see, it's offset a little bit from the driveway. So you really have to be paused, as I was, in front of the driveway. You even see this from the road. It's the details are in keeping with the existing house. It's shingled and white trim, divided light windows and doors, much like the existing. There's a brick fireplace at the gable end, and let's see. There's also one aspect of the application that might need a little bit of clarification from the applicant if they're here. There's noted that there's a barbecue, but it's also noted as existing. So I wanted to just clarify, if it's existing to remain, it doesn't really need to be part of the application, but it was listed in the application form as part of the application. It was just noted, I think, on the plans as existing to remain. So just a little clarification would help on that.
Hi, John McGivern. Thank you for summarizing the application for me. The barbecue is going. They're going to remove the brick and just have a mobile one.
Oh, okay.
So you can
no architecture to review then, right?
No,
okay.
But you can put that into your resolution.
Okay. It's a very handsome addition.
Thank you.
It's actually the same fireplace wall and two windows that
Exactly.
John Nealon is building, like in the previous application.
Our applicants have been talking.
Yeah. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Comments? Anyone?
No comments from me.
Claire?
Straightforward.
No.
Okay.
Well done. So I'd like to make an application a motion to approve the application as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passed unanimously. Thank you very much, John.
Thank you.
Still an agricultural overlay, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-149-4-4.02. This is 300 Town Lane in East Hampton. Frank, this is yours.
Okay. This is an application to construct a new single-family residence as part of a 4-lot compound and a flag lot off of Town Line Road, shared by a common driveway in a group of lots and amigrants south of Town Line Road. This property sits 790 feet south of Town Line Road, down an access easement across the street from Balsam Farms, just north of the Long Island Railroad tracks. 3 of the lots came before this board and were approved with resolutions. 298 to the north of this one and 302 to the south. The site is neighbored by vacant lots owned by the same group to the north and south. It's bordered by agricultural property owned by Petonic Land Trust to the northeast, a residential parcel to the northwest, a vacant property owned by Suffolk County to the southwest. It's just right above the railroad tracks. The applicant is proposing, and I'll quote from the architect, a single-story, single-family dwelling unit with 2,939 gross square feet, which includes 2 terraces, a patio, and a basement, all located on an empty lot. The proposed residential structure will house a total of 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 2 half baths, kitchen, dining room, living room, great room, and an indoor fireplace, outdoor seating area, a theater screening room, laundry, AV room, mechanical room, storage rooms, all located on a vacant lot, all under 3,000 square feet, I'll note. Landscaping, paving, and the surrounding areas of the new house will take place, including mowed paths and driveway, as well as a number of new plantings. The barn-style residence exterior will be comprised of stained vertical wood siding, a cedar shingle roof, black steel windows and glass doors, and a stone chimney. So the maximum GFA for this property is 4,120. The applicant is proposing 2,939, so it's about 1,100 almost 1,200 square feet less, proposing a height of 25 feet 3 inches roof line where 32 feet is permitted. At the northeast corner of the property line, the applicant is also proposing a 20 by 28 solar array next to the generator and 3 air AC condensers. Surrounding the generator and condensers would be a 6-foot-high black stained vertical board enclosure with soundproofing. We would also be approving the following, which this board has approved similar as part of the other lots in the subdivision, 4-foot higher wire fence, 6-foot-high wire fence that bends out to the property line, and light fixtures on the buildings, which we've seen before. I think this is a good time to let the applicant present anything I may have missed. Overall, this application is in line with the other applications on the subdivision this board has approved. The proposed scale and height are below what is allowable, and the massing of the volumes seem in line with similar houses in the area. I'll also remind this board that this lot sits quite far from Town Line Road, over 700 feet. So if we could just pull up, Will, the applicant, and if the applicant wants to come up and discuss the application, can bring up the site plan as it was provided to us this week. The survey showing, well, there's that one, but there's another one. Was this provided to you that shows all 3 lots? Just so we can see the massing of them. It's a survey. Oh, there we go. Okay. And I will note, and it's a question for the applicant, 298 to the left is shown on your site plan as nothing happening. Perhaps the owner has decided not to build on that lot, but there is an existing resolution as a right to build on that lot now.
So Billy Imperial from BMA Architects, acting as agent for applicant. That is correct, Frank. It's to not build on that lot. So what was approved, I think it's a year ago, is not going to be built there anymore. It will go vacant there. It will be a vacant lot, 298.
Okay.
Which is lot 1.
So you're moving things around on these 3 lots?
Yes,
that's basically what's happening.
What's been happening,
Yeah.
yes. In the same vernacular, downsides.
Can you clarify something?
Sure.
As I recall, the first application for these 3 properties was that you had the small black siding kind of studio residence on the left-hand side lot there.
Yep.
There was the meadow was a shared view, open, unbuilt, developed property, which is now shown with the house that you're now proposing in the current application. And initially there was the larger house where the small house and tennis court are shown on this site plan.
You have a good memory. Yeah.
So are you now proposing to flip the little black studio over to the tennis court property on the right?
Yeah, that's what happened in, I think around December, we had an ARB submission where 298, the house on 298.
So those were flipped.
Went over
I didn't remember that.
Went over to 3 and 4.
So we've already approved tennis court and studio moved to that property. And now it's just, instead of continuing with developing on the left-hand property, you're building that house closer and showing that as an open field on the left. Okay. Think I got it. It's very handsome. Very nice.
Mm-hmm. Very nice.
Frank, yeah, I'm just pulling out because I don't know if we'd want to see it. Do we need to consider, presumably, again, this is quite far south, but we have to assume that 298 could be developed. I'm just trying to bring up the...
So Billy, I just want to state with new builds like this and a client who appears to change their mind often. I think this is your third time in front of us. We've had some very bad experiences where people get approval for situations like this, and then the client keeps changing their mind, and they instruct you to you or the builder to make changes, and the changes aren't approved by us. And so any change that's after what we approve has to come back and be approved by us. The client cannot just go willy-nilly and make decisions on their own.
Fully 100% understand that and have explained it to the client as well too, and they are going to cooperate with whatever is required. Yeah, there's no issue with that.
No change orders on the job.
I mean,
sure.
it's a little bit like Chinese
No change orders
here, like one goes here, one goes here, one goes here, so.
Just so
nice
maybe the
luxury.
board could see, so what is approved for 298 is from, I don't know if you can bring this up, Will. In 2024, July 25th was the application. You don't have it? Okay. Basically, it's like a bungalow.
Yeah,
It's like
I
a
remember.
Yeah.
It's very
So-
appealing.
Yeah.
So this, but I guess our resolution would rescind that
No.
approval.
Expire in 3 years and then.
It expires, but I mean, unless the applicant, which I don't, frankly, because it's a bungalow, I don't really actually, my view is I don't think, because it's such a small house, a little bungalow, that it's not like there's another huge it's not like there's a big main residence on that 298.
And it is three residential properties, so.
Right. So I'm fine with it staying an open resolution. I mean, they have a legal right to keep it. So if we want to just go through the architectural drawings, I mean, I have no objection to the architecture being proposed here in the scale and the mass.
It's very much in keeping with what we've seen on the last applications in terms of palette.
Just the same houses, right? Just moved around.
Yeah, it's the same palette,
Yeah,
same
it's
light
the same-
fixtures,
Same house, it's not the exact same house per se.
same palette, yeah.
Right.
Material
I mean,
palette,
it's the massing and scales changed, but
Looks like a barn.
does anybody have any comments about what's being proposed here, the architecture, and
Awfully nice.
find nothing objectionable?
Yeah, I think it's in keeping with the location, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, actually.
Get going on it, man.
Sorry.
Get going on it.
We want to.
Before the owner changes his mind again.
Okay, I mean, any comments from the board? I think we've seen this so many times. I mean, really.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve this application as presented.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Chris, all in favor?
Aye.
Diane, Claire, unanimously passed. Thank you, Billy.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Thank you for your time.
Good luck.
Okay, now on to extensions of time. This is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-166-4-3.2. This is 56 Springs Close Highway in East Hampton. This is mine. This is an application for an extension of time for an application which was approved in 2016. The property is 20 acres of farmland on the right side of Spring Close Highway, just before the railroad underpass. The initial approval was for 9-foot-high deer fencing on 4x4 wooden posts with a matching gate. Oddly enough, what is built was 6-foot-high agricultural fencing, but with 8-foot-high round posts. And there you see the round post and the 6-foot-high fencing. So they built under by about 2 feet. Applicant has indicated they will cut the 8-foot-high post down to 6 feet, and they're happy to leave the 6-foot-high fencing as is. I think this is a win-win for all. I see no reason not to grant this extension of time. Any questions?
No.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to approve this extension of time as submitted. May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So passed. Under certificate of occupancy, this is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-188-2-4. This is 226 Pantica Road in East Hampton. Diane, this is yours.
Yes, this is improvements to the East Hampton house. That we are dealing with with the building that is the furthest from Montauk Highway and the closest to the swimming pool, which is sort of the back of the property. It's an upgrade of the curbing with Belgian block and replacing concrete patios and walkways with techno block pavers in shale gray. Everything they have done is certainly an improvement in this very tidy complex. And I just wonder if they're going to make the improvements on the other buildings too, because
I think it's a time sequencing thing, yeah. This complex has been before us for years, making
yes, many
improvements.
times. Well, anyway, these are definitely improvements, and everything complies exactly with our resolution. And so unless there's any questions.
I think Lori was here, but she left, which is fine. So, okay.
Yeah. So I would like to make a motion to have, where's my words?
Here we go.
I sort of know them by heart. Yes, to approve this application for a request for a certificate of occupancy and instruct staff to notify the building department that this property is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
May I have a second?
Second.
Frank and Claire, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous, so passed. And our last item of business tonight under certificate of occupancies is Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-170-3-19. This is 618 Montauk Highway in Amagansett. Diane, this is also yours.
Yes. This is a complete overhaul of a commercial building that looks like a residential building. Has the look of a residence anyway, but it is a complete redo. They come before us twice. They started out replacing some things, and then as they were doing it, they realized they had to replace everything. So they, this is the finished product. Show the rest of the pictures, Will. I don't understand exactly what the use is going to be for this building.
I think it's a builder's office or something.
Maybe, perhaps.
Tell me what, different offices?
Multiple offices.
Okay, multiple offices.
Oh, multiple offices, okay, because it's very, very close to the highway. There's, and these, in the latter application, well, anyway, everything they have done complies exactly with our two resolutions. And everything seems to be in total compliance. So does anybody have any questions?
Big improvement.
Eric, do you have anything to say?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
I got nothing.
Eric, are you here for this application?
I am the emotional support lawyer for Mr. Lawrence and Louise.
Okay.
I don't have my vest on. So
Okay.
get on a plane, the vest that says emotional support.
Okay. Well, I don't think you're going to need a lot of support. So I think you're in good shape. So.
Yes, it's a huge improvement. So everything seems to be in order to me. And unless there's any questions, I would like to make a motion to approve this application for a request for a certificate of occupancy and instruct the staff to notify the building department that it is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimously passed. Thank you all. Matt, I think we're done.
Hey,
I'd like to make a motion to close our meeting of today.
wow.
Second.
Second, all in favor?